Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? It's obviously me. Just kidding. It's King Biggie. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Lauren, filmmaker extraordinaire, and today I'm going to be talking about beauty and Snow White. I'm not going to pretend that this is a revolutionary new video topic of talking about chasing beauty and youth, but I still want to talk about it. I was inspired for this video because of the new trailer that dropped for the live-action Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler as Snow White and then Gal Gadot as the Queen. Maybe really apropos casting. I was thinking, maybe this movie, which is from the 30s, like the 1930s, really could be a useful lesson for people, but they didn't really learn it. And maybe they didn't learn it because maybe the lesson wasn't good enough. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I would love to hear your thoughts, throughout the video. If you want to add them in the comments down below, feel free to do so. From what we can see, the live action movie actually seems to be like relatively, one-to-one with the animated movie. Obviously, people are upset about the uncanny valley dwarves, but, we haven't seen the whole movie yet, but it looks pretty like on par, except for, maybe the fashion sense. But the overall vibe looks like it's trying to be maybe more consistent. And that could be because Snow White was the first animated feature film, and it really changed the game for what an animated movie could do and what cinema could be with animation. But aside from the cool facts about that movie, which is not the focus of this video, we think about the evil queen, right? So what we know, we start the movie as we have glowering evil queen, and she's in her little, stained glass mirror area. She's on the balcony. She's overseeing everything. She looks like she's honestly got some kind of full glam on just for, castle duties. She's definitely a beautiful character. Sometimes we see villains in Disney movies that are pretty ugly. Conventionally ugly, I would say. Not the evil queen, at least not in this part of the movie. Then we see Snow White, and she's wearing kind of clogs and her rag outfit. Her hair still looks impeccable. And she still looks, honestly very pretty. Obviously, whereas the evil queen's more sharp, angular. Snow White has around her face, around her hair, etc. And, she's pretty happy. She's in a good mood. She sings her wishing well song, where we hear the best song ever randomly from the guy who you'll never see for almost the whole movie, where she's like, today, and then he goes, today. It's literally the best thing ever. So she's set up to be poor and sad looking, but she's still very beautiful. And the evil queen doesn't mind her. She makes her do chores, whatever. We don't care until the day where Snow White suddenly becomes the fairest of them all. The evil queen asks for the day to her mirror, and it's always her until one day it's Snow White. And she's enraged, and she goes huntsman to kill Snow White. This is not a spoiler, okay? This is an ancient story. And the huntsman takes her to the woods. He doesn't end up killing her. She escapes, and the evil queen finds out she's escaped, right? Because even though the huntsman pretends she returns to the heart, the next day, Snow White's still the fairest of them all. And this causes the rest of the set of the movie, where the evil queen turns into the ugly, evil old villain that Disney may be more associated with when she turns into the old hag to disguise to kill Snow White. But let's rewind. We don't know why in the movie the evil queen wants to be the most beautiful, except that she's just vain. Versus Snow White, although you could argue she sort of looks at herself, in the movie of wishing well, she's not looking at her reflection. She really wants love. She's very kind. The animals love her. She befriends the dwarves with her kindness and her charm. And she radiates inner beauty along with outer beauty, versus the evil queen, no inner beauty. And that's as far as we get, right? We see inner beauty, outer beauty combo in Snow White, just outer beauty in the evil queen, and that ultimately even ruins her outer beauty when she's so, twisted on the inside, she turns into a hag. The life lesson of the movie is that, Snow White, although she ends up in a, sleep-like death comatose state for an indiscriminate amount of time until the prince comes, wakes her up. She ends up with her happily ever after, and the evil queen ends up presumably dead, falling up a cliff, screaming. That's the last that we see of her. And this is interesting to me because we see that the evil old lady dies, and we see the young, beautiful girl lives happily ever after. But we know that eventually she will also age and presumably be replaced by the younger generation. And we just assume, because Snow White's, nice and kind, that the same thing won't happen. But we can see in real life that a lot of the times when these younger people kind of come up in the celebrity scene and the acting scene in life, that the older, models, strictly of women, because that's kind of what the joke is, right? That, oh, you have to stay beautiful and, as young as possible and fit, because otherwise your man will dump you and trade you in for the newest model of woman on the shelf, which is gross, by the way, and like a terrible thing to say. But we do see, some older men out with relatively much younger women, Leonardo DiCaprio, It's not just Leonardo DiCaprio that has ridiculously young girlfriends compared to their age. There is a very real, at least perceived threat to maybe older women to stay young and in their prime as long as possible, because they see that beauty is rewarded with opportunities, money, fame, etc. And even though most people, like me, commoner, we're not ever going to be in the sphere where Leonardo DiCaprio wants to date you. Especially me, because I'm 24. I'm approaching the cap of the age he's going to go for. But this still permeates into our, I'd say, societal psyche over what we aspire to do. I made a YouTube short. Someone had commented, "Wow, you have a lot of wrinkles." And I was like, well, I'm a very expressive person. So yeah, if I'm expressing stuff, there's going to be lines on my face. And also, that's okay. Aging is honestly the alternatives to aging, it's death, right? So I'm pretty young, and today I don't want to die this time. I think it's hopefully a beautiful thing that I'll be able to age and get more wrinkles. But I have other body issues, which maybe take away from any kind of aging related issues with my body dysmorphia and my eating disorder problems. But that, at least for me, luckily isn't age concern and fear of someone else younger than me being more beautiful, more talented, kind of replacing me. I currently at least don't have that fear. Actually, I feel more ageism the other way in the workplace, because I think a lot of people see me as oh, she's very young. What could she know? Blah, blah, blah. How she get here? And some people, I feel can be a little snarky about asking me oh, how did you get into this job? Why are you here? What's your story? And sometimes I think they genuinely want to care, and sometimes I'm not sure. So I kind of feel the other way right now, where it's older people are taken more seriously and I'm seen as young and stupid. But I understand that might be more corporate angle, and eventually I know ageism will go the other way, because especially older women are not necessarily treated very well or respected in various workplaces and just in life. You'll hear people talk about when they turn a certain age, they sort of become invisible to people. I think sometimes they specifically men, but just in general, you're no longer a noticed person, which is very sad, because everyone deserves to be seen. And we can think about the scene from the Barbie movie where Margot Robbie's sitting next to the older woman and she looks at her and she says, "You're beautiful." And the older woman says, "I know." And it's interesting because everyone else seems to be busy doing things, but Margot Robbie notices the woman. And I think that's a really beautiful scene and really the heart of that movie. And we know that Margot Robbie chooses to age. She chooses to end her life as a doll, to begin her life as a human, where she knows she will lose her beauty and she'll get cellulite and all that stuff that they kind of joke about in the movie. But I think it's really important, because we as a society chase beauty and youth so much. I see videos of people taping over their whole faces before they go to sleep to prevent wrinkles, and people are getting Botox and fillers so young and early, and then we're seeing that they're having filler migration and Botox issues, and it's a whole problem because people are so afraid of looking like they have ever smiled in their life. And I am all for sunscreen to protect you from the sun and UV. It's, of course, I definitely want people to try to prevent skin cancer, but a wrinkle, a normal smile line wrinkle, I think we've lost the plot. It's very sad because we've made a society where people feel they have to do that to have some kind of success, whether that's success in love, success professionally, or just kind of feeling good about themselves because they see these unrealistic people online. And these people they see online, first of all, could be super rich and have all the money and access to whatever they want to get done. But they also have Photoshop. You can edit your body in videos. And it's becoming so pervasive that it feels you walk along the street and you see people who just people look so good all the time. And it's what am I doing? What am I doing wrong here? But you're not doing anything wrong. It's just, there's so much pressure to look a certain way. But it's gotten to a point where it's even now facing people are getting basically blamed for trying to fit the beauty standard that has been created. A few weeks ago, or maybe it was a few months ago, there was a lot of talk about the Love Island UK girls who were all, I think, in their mid-20s, but because of a lot of filler and other procedures, a lot of them were being called upon looking a lot older. And these women are just getting procedures done that have been ingrained in them to do in order to attain the perfect look and face and body in order to achieve success. We as a society are constantly chasing the next beauty standard because it's never going to stop. We will never be the fairest of them all, or you will never be the fairest of them all every day because, having like the slim thick, that trend's gone. And now it seems like everyone's dissolving their implants and being skinny is back. And you could argue being skinny was never out of like the overall trend. But the point is that body type should not be a trend. And yet they have been. And I unfortunately probably will continue to be so. I know this started with like Snow White and now I'm like ranting about body types and beauty expectations, but it just really pains me because I know as a woman who's faced my body image issues really stemmed from being a dancer and then also being kind of like late with puberty. And by being late to puberty, like I was like 16, 17, I feel like, when I was like, whoa, okay, there, girl in blacks. But I felt like I wasn't, I didn't look, I feel like I was like behind what my sisters looked like and a lot of my friends. And I was like, okay, I guess all I've got going for me is like, I don't know, I'm a dancer, so I have a dancer's build. I wouldn't want anyone, man or woman, non-binary, whoever you are, to feel like you do not fit whatever standard should be enough for a wonderful life. And I would like to say everyone can have a wonderful life regardless of how you look, but there is pretty privilege, unfortunately. People who are more conventionally attractive tend to get certain opportunities more than people who are not conventionally attractive, which is upsetting because people are so much more than their outward appearance. To go back to Snow White, we see that the inner beauty is what like kind of saves Snow White because she befriends the dwarves and everyone who then accept her and then try to help her and save her, and the prince ultimately saves her. Though we don't know how much he honestly knows her. They have one song moment, otherwise I assume he also thinks she's pretty. And we see the ugly inner beauty of the queen is to her detriment. But unfortunately, in real life, it's hard to really see that, maybe ugly inner beauty is very detrimental, as we see a lot of people just continue to like trod on the downfall. It's very complicated because I do believe anyone can have a great life regardless of how you look, but the starting places are very different depending on appearance, which is why we go back to people chasing these trends, which then will change on a dime. And it's just really upsetting. And I hope that we as a society will one day be able to move past this. But I kind of feel like we won't, at least not for a while, because the beauty standards are just seemingly increasing in an insane way, especially for aging actors. We see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine right now. He's 55 years old and his body is insanely jacked. Like, he is more ripped looking than he was when he was Wolverine in the first time he ever appeared as Wolverine, which is wild. We see that they're making a movie of the Uglies. It's crazy to me they're making that into a movie. But we see they're starting with Joey King. Now, the Uglies, if you didn't make the box, are all the Uglies, people who are like normal people. They look like normal people. And then they get basically surgical enhancements to become beautiful. And until you do that, you are one of the Uglies. And it's crazy to me because Joey King is like so objectively beautiful. So it's like, how can she become more beautiful? And that is like the question that's on everybody's mind, close to everyone. How can you become more beautiful? How can you level up your whole life? How can you look max to the extreme? And the answer is you cannot. You will either spend all your money, spend all your time, or spend all your happiness trying to achieve those things. And you probably won't even get there because you're going to achieve some standard and then bada bing, bada boom, it's a new standard. And you are left with nothing from all your hard work, except maybe shame and people mocking you for trying to chase something when you're obviously not the right person for it and you're no longer beautiful because I said so. I would also like to add that people say for men, they can age like a silver fox. But for women, like the worst thing they can possibly do is age. And if you age well, then people say, oh, it's because they're nice. And if someone ages poorly, they're like, oh, well, they're mean and horrible. That's why they aged badly. And it's like, no, can we not actually correlate outward appearance with someone's personality and soul, whether they're a good or bad person, because they have nothing to do with each other? There's nothing we can do about the fact that the worst thing a woman can do is age, except try to combat that and remind people that you are worth so much more than your beauty and your youth, because those will go away. And I know right now, like, I am young and I do think I am conventionally attractive. You can argue in the comments about it, but like, you're not going to convince me otherwise. But I know one day that won't be the case. And I really hope that is so, because I've had a lot of mental health problems and struggles, and I had like various other health problems. And I really, really hope that I make it to a point where I have lived a beautiful, long, full life, even with all those things going on. Like, that would be such a blessing to me. And I hope that I have lots of friends and family that I can spend my life with, making wonderful memories and treasuring our time on earth, because that's what we should be caring about, right? Our time on earth and who we can make a positive impact on. To end this video, because it's been a wild ride. I'm really sorry about it. I was just feeling like weirdly inspired and passionate. I'm sure it's a garbage video, but you know what? It might be garbage on the outside, but it's good intentions within. So it's basically the opposite of the evil queen. So you should like the video. If you like this more kind of not super scripted, chatting, more in word vomit video, let me know by liking the video, commenting down below, and subscribing. And I will see you next time with another video. So yeah, subscribe as I just said. And I will see you then. Bye.